All right, we welcome in the head coach of the Bossier Parish Community College Cavaliers, a man who I get to every time he might get the big head. Hey, they won 20 games for the first time in 15 years, having a great year, getting ready to rock and roll into the conference tournament or the regional tournament. But I'll always remind him that I get to keep him humble. He is Chris Lovell, the head coach of the Bossier Parish Community College Cavaliers. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing well, Patrick, man. Great being on the show with you.
Hey,
today.
I'm happy to have you. So let's get this out of the way because, look, you won 20 games. First time that's happened in 15 years. You got a youngster who's having an absolutely fantastic season. You got good prospects going forward into the tournament as the 3 seed. All this looks good. But I do want to remind you that at one point in time in your career, you lost by 98 points. So just want to get that out of the way, Coach. Just reminding you, keeping you, want to keep you grounded.
Humble beginning.
That's right. Keep you humbled. Just want to tell you, maybe don't take a group of Baptist church kids into the AAU ranks in 8th grade. That's all I'm saying.
No doubt.
Coach, let's start there, though, but with 20 wins. First time in 15 years that that's happened for the Cavs. Walk me through what this process has been like, because you've kind of been growing it slowly. You're doing it the right way, young guys, building from within, that kind of thing from the ground up. Tell me what the process has been like getting to now a 20-win season.
Yeah, it's definitely been a rebuilding process. I mean, when I got here, I think they had 4 wins. Or 5 wins the year before I took over the reins of the program. And every year we've improved, and so finally we're kind of at a place now. We're 20-10 on the season. We just beat the number 6 ranked team in the country on Saturday. And we did that without our 2 best players being injured. And so, we feel like, every year the program's getting better. We're getting deeper. We're getting longer. We're getting more athletic. And I think you have to be deep in this conference to survive the season. And we finally have caught up. Recruiting-wise with the other schools in our region, which are all from Texas.
You mentioned you're without your 2 best players, and yet you've got a freshman who goes off for 30 a game for the last 4 games. So I'd say, maybe not 2 of your best players, but dang, this kid's pretty special, Paul King.
Yeah, Paul King's a fantastic human being. Obviously, he's from Monroe, played at Washington High School, and so kind of a North Louisiana product. But has really gotten hot here in the second half of the season, and really is really carrying us in a lot of ways. And he's really embraced not only what we're trying to do here basketball-wise, but he's embraced academically what we're doing here at the college, and he's just thriving in every area. And that's what makes coaching JUCO so rewarding, is that you get to see guys come in, buy in, and then the payoff is huge.
It's interesting because it's a different level in that a lot of these guys you aren't going to get to see go through 4 years. Some of them, you might get a guy for an extra year or something like that, but for the most part, you're getting these guys for 1 or 2 years, and then they're moving on somewhere else. What's, I guess, the unique challenge of that in some ways, especially for a guy like you who I know – these kids are like your kids, they're your family.
Right,
Is it difficult knowing that you only get them for a very small window before they then move on to somewhere else?
It is. It's really tough. Like, I'll give you, for instance, last year we sent 6 kids to Division I off last year's roster, but we only brought 1 kid back from last year's roster. So we have 14 brand new players to go with 1 returner. And so every year, you are coaching a brand new team almost. And so it is challenging because you don't have that redshirt junior or senior that says, hey, we don't do things like that here, or this is how we do it here. The sustaining the culture is really, really difficult because you have so many moving pieces. But at the same time, the reason they go JUCO is to have an opportunity to get seen and move on to the next place. And we've had great success moving them on. And it's fun. Like Jason Holliday, who was on our team last year, Murray State just won their conference, regular season conference, and he'll have a chance to be in the NCAA tournament this year. And he was here 9 months ago, and so it's exciting to see them move on, yet it is challenging to rebuild every year.
Yeah. And also I've got to imagine trying to make sure you keep a culture intact, because you mentioned a lot of teams, there's a third-year junior, a fourth-year junior, a fifth-year senior. Those guys will tell the new freshmen or the JUCO guys coming in, hey, this is what your expectations are. You have kind of built-in leaders. Is it more difficult in that you kind of have to be that guy because you don't necessarily have one of those quote-unquote, coaches on the floor, so to speak, or guys that you can rely on to sort of clean things up themselves?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it's all on the coach at this level. And some of that I like, and some of it, I hate, and that's just part of it. But, I think when you know what you want and you recruit good kids and you know what you got coming in, then it's not as hard to lay the culture, because in the recruiting process, you're laying out for them what it's going to be like. And truthfully, once they get here, if they buy in, everything's fine. If they don't, then, they typically don't make it. And that's the harsh reality of it.
I'm curious about the relationship that you have to develop with coaches who are trying to come in and get your kids, because obviously, the ultimate goal when you're at the junior college level is you want those guys to advance to play at the next level, whether that's D2, D3, D1, whatever the case may be. You want those guys to get into that NCAA ranks. But at the same time, I would imagine you have to have some manner of honesty. When a coach comes in and asks about a kid, how honest are you with a coach to say, maybe this kid has an attitude issue, or maybe he's had some off the floor stuff go on? How honest are you versus how much are you trying to protect your players when you're talking to coaches who are coming in looking for guys?
Well, there's definitely a balance to all of that. Obviously I have to be truthful with these coaches, because if I send them a kid and I tell them, hey, he's a great kid, he does everything right, and he gets there and he does everything wrong, they'll never come recruit another kid from us, and my character integrity is on the line. And so, you do have to be truthful with them, but at the same time, as you're being truthful with the coaches as far as the character and the work habits and the school and academics that these individual players have, at the same time, you've got to remind these students, these student athletes, while you have them, hey, every time a coach calls me, I have to be honest. And so it helps them understand, hey, man, that kid can rebound, but he won't go to class, or whatever. It can be an incredible turnoff. And by the way, the NCAA coaches, it's a small pool of coaches. And so that news travels quick on a kid, and so, there is a balance to it all. But at the same time, I've always operated by the policy. You got to be as honest as you can be with these Division I coaches, and then allow them to look at it and go, okay, maybe this kid's a great player, but maybe he's got some stuff off the court. Then they have to make up their minds what they're willing to take a chance on. But at least they know it going in. Talking to
Bossier Parish Community College head coach Chris Lovell, and Coach, you now have you're making your way into the postseason, which is awesome. It's here. It's at Centenary. At the Gold Dome, which is neat. Give me the kind of the recap of, also, for those that don't know, and I'll be honest with you, I'm kind of ignorant like a lot of people, Region 14, are your conferences just regions? Is that how it works? And this is basically your conference tournament?
Right, that's exactly what it is.
Okay.
This is the way JUCO works is you're divided up into regions, and which are just like conferences in the NCAA. And so we are heading in technically to our conference tournament here at the Gold Dome at Centenary.
Y'all need to come up with some better names for these things. Then we got to get away from Region 14. If you can have the Atlantic Sun and the Trans-American Athletic Conference, y'all can come up with some. Y'all can come up with some names for your conferences. Just
no doubt.
Just get in there and get something crazy.
Yeah, what we need to do is bring on a guy like Patrick Netherton just to name all the regions,
yes.
And then we'll be good.
Yes. Well, y'all would be in the, let's see, I would put y'all in the better food than the rest of JUCO region, I think is probably what you would be in at this point. Coach, let's break down this conference tournament then. You just beat one of the top teams in. TJC is actually going to be the regular season champion, so they're going to go in as the number 1 seed. You just took them down, so I've got to imagine going in, your guys have to feel pretty confident that you can win this thing.
Well, we do. We really have had a great year competing with everyone in the conference. We do feel good about going into it, that we can't beat anyone. That doesn't mean we will, but it means we've got a chance. And I think that's been different than most years. I think we've always hoped, but this year we feel like we've really got a long enough bench to get it done, even when we come up against adversity, and I think that's key. But Tyler Junior College is by far the 1 seed. They had lost one game all year coming into our game with them on Saturday, and we were lucky to get them. And our kids played really hard. It was a spirited contest, but they'll be the top seed and the top dog, and someone's going to have to beat them to win the conference tournament. There's no doubt about it. But it's loaded with talent from top to bottom, Patrick. I think anyone who's going to come out will see an unbelievable brand of basketball. And just like I said last year, these players that you're going to watch over the course of the next week here in Shreveport and Bossier, you're going to be turning on the TV and watching them play every night next year at the NCAA Division I level, and that's fun.
Y'all, how many teams are in your in the region? I see there's 20 listed on their website, but do they all? I don't think they all play basketball, do they?
No, basically we have 14 basketball playing schools, and 12 of them make the conference tournament.
Gotcha.
So that's how it works.
Well, the good news is you got to buy. So that's nice.
Yeah.
So when we talking Wednesday for y'all to go?
No, actually, when the tiebreakers came out, Patrick, we ended up being the 5th overall seed, and so we will turn around and they seed you 1 through 12. So we'll turn around and play the 12 seed tomorrow. We had a 3-way tie for second place in the north part of our conference, and it was between us, Kilgore, and Navarro got the nod in the tiebreak situation, and we got the nod over Kilgore. And so we ended up being the 5th overall seed, so we missed by 1 spot.
That's no good.
So it's okay, though. We play tomorrow at 3 o'clock at the Gold Dome against Coastal Bend College, who we had played earlier this year, and they're from the south part of our conference.
Do you, this is one of those deals where you get into a conference tournament, you're going to have to win multiple games over the course of multiple days. And yet when I look at your team, I see a deep squad. You've got 10 guys that are averaging double-digit minutes. I'm assuming that part of that is just because you have so many new guys, you got to kind of figure out what you have. But also at the same time, this gets you prepared for getting ready to go into a conference and then potentially a national tournament scenario, right?
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, this conference tournament will be as tough as playing in the national tournament. There's some teams that'll make the national tournament that would struggle to advance in our conference tournament, and so it does prepare you. The level of competition is high. It's like I told the guys yesterday, we drew out the bracket on the whiteboard, and I circled our game, which is tomorrow, and I said, hey, this whole bracket with all these teams is great, but if we don't win this game tomorrow, there is no next game for us. But if we win the game tomorrow, then we'll prepare for the next one. And we just try to take it, as coaches say all the time, you've heard it a million times, but, we just trying to take it game by game, because bottom line, that's so true. If we don't get it done tomorrow, our season's over. And it will have been a great season, but at the end of the day, we're not ready to stop playing.
No, nor should you be. Talking to Chris Lovell, the head coach of Bossier Parish Community College. Coach, I have to ask you, in the entirety of your career as a head coach, and you've obviously been at some good places. You Prestonwood over in Dallas, where you won a couple of state championships. Have you ever before? Well, I should say, have you ever since I was one of your players gone into a huddle and asked your team to hold the opponent under 100? Which you did for us.
I can honestly say that was a one-time event that took place, a one-time phrase that came out of my mouth. And hey, as a coach, you're always looking for small victories in the midst of even defeat sometimes. And so, that's what we were trying to do in that moment.
Oh, it was fantastic. You mentioned 2 of your best players were out for this game. Are they going to be healthy and back for this week?
Yeah, one of them, Diamante Brown, he will play tomorrow. It'll be the first time in about 4 or 5 games that he's played. We're hoping he'll give us a lift. We found out this morning that our starting wings got the flu, and so, we've got him on antibiotics. Hopefully he'll be able to go tomorrow, but we just don't know about him. And so, but yeah, we definitely will have one of the guys back for tomorrow's game, and he's a big-time athlete, averages about 14 points a game, 8 rebounds. So to get him back on the court is really helpful.
it's not. It's just the flu, right? We don't need to start a scare of the coronavirus at Bipsy, do we?
No coronavirus. We
right.
definitely don't want that going out.
No. As my producer Rogers Hampton always likes to say, he can never get the coronavirus because he only drinks Budweiser. So you don't have to worry about that. Hey, look, as you said, tomorrow at 4.
Tomorrow at 3:00.
3. Okay, 3:00 tomorrow. So get out to the Gold Dome. Go watch Bipsy play. Go cheer on Chris Lovell. Give him a high five. Give him best wishes from yours truly. Coach, very much looking forward to hopefully y'all making a nice run in the regional tournament and getting to the national dance. And, man, it's been awesome to watch your career and watch how far you've come from a 98-point loss to a 20-win season at the JUCO level.
Hey, thanks, Patrick, man. Hey, I owe all my development as a coach to people like you, so I appreciate you, buddy.
There you go. What you learned very quickly is when you have terrible players like me, you need to get better players. That's what you learned.
That's why I went to college. I get to pick now.
Beautiful.
So it's good.
Beautiful. Coach, congrats and best of luck, man.
Hey, thanks, Pat. You'll have a good one.
All right. Chris Lovell, head coach of the Bipsy Cavaliers. I love that man.